What's up, guys? I had a few people ask me, what indicators I'm using on my chart and how I would enter a trade, like what type of variables I'm looking for, what are the signals I get from these charts that, you know, give me an edge towards my position, whether it be bullish, bearish, whatever the case is. And I'm going to try to keep it really simple. Try not to draw it out too much. We'll go through this quick, and if you guys want to talk about anything in this video, hit me up in the Discord. We can go over it more in depth. But as far as the altcoin trades that I've taken recently and the Bitcoin trade, this is where it all starts. This is the daily chart, and I've got a lot of indicators on here, but we're just going to go over on the daily chart here a couple specifically. All right, so we'll start back here. I know this is hindsight, but I just want to, try to give you an idea of what goes through my head when I'm taking trades and the things I'm looking for. And if we started on the daily here, you've got first and foremost these red and green checks you see here are from the harmonic indicator we use in the Discord. I don't like keeping the lines on there. I use this on the daily chart more as a signal for the lower time frames. And in the case of Bitcoin, let's go here on this last valley we had that came down from our top. In the background of this, you can see the VWAP bands in the purple and in the green here. These are the 3-month VWAP bands, and these basically outline the extremities on the chart for you in a real simple manner. If you're down in the green, that's usually a good time to buy, and if you're up in the purple, that's generally going to be the top of the range for the current price action. And what we saw is a pullback from the upper part of the VWAP bands. Price came all the way down into the Ichi cloud, which is this gray cloud in the background here. And then we got a pivot sign. These little red triangles here are from Pulse Tools. Pulse Tools is the indicator that generates the VWAP bands, the Ichi cloud, these pivot marks, pivot signals, whatever you want to call them. And that's the basis of all my charts. It's got a lot of good features. That's also what's giving you the colored candles, and I'll get into how I use these a little bit later. But when we came down into the Ichi cloud here, we got a signal from the harmonic indicator saying a bullish cipher had completed here. We also got a pivot from Pulse Tools saying that there's a potential pivot zone taking place here. And the candlestick itself on the daily, you've got a real nice bullish hammer candlestick, which is typically a reversal pattern. So with these variables, that's telling me that, hey, we might be finding a local low here on Bitcoin, and I would want to be looking for longs on lower time frames from this zone. And that's where this is just an example, not a specific coin I was looking at. Again, this is some hindsight trading, but I want to show you how I would go about taking a trade based on that daily signal we got. I zoomed in here on the 30-minute time scale, and we got the daily signal would have been confirmed on the 12th. So if we were going to the 12th, actually the 11th, I'm sorry. So on the 11th, this is right here. LRC loop ring had been in a downtrend. You can see it's just nothing but rejections from this moving average here. And we got an initial bottom before Bitcoin gave us the signal. This would have already happened. And then we got a second bottom over here. Knowing that we're looking for a long position because of the signal on the daily chart and Bitcoin, now we would be looking at altcoins for sympathy plays. If Bitcoin's going to be moving up on the daily, more than likely altcoins on lower time frames are really going to rip, and that's what we're looking for here. So now this is where our daily signal came in from Bitcoin. We've got a double bottom taking place here, potentially. At this time, we wouldn't know for sure. But what we also see is divergence here on the money flow. And then you've got bullish divergence on the RSI. Now, these drives of bullish divergence, you really want more than that, because sometimes you could put in one here and then end up making a lower low and then a lower low on the RSI, but still a higher low, giving you another drive of bullish divergence. What I like to look for specifically is not only do we want to see the bullish divergence on the RSI, but we want to see the RSI get above the moving average as well. You've also got the money flow, perhaps, to really really get the signal you're looking for. Maybe you want to see this money flow go positive. And this is the Pulse 1 RSI, if you don't know already. These dots up here on the top of the RSI will glow when price action is above our momentum average. It does the same thing on the chart. I don't always have this on the chart because I do use it in this fashion. But basically, both of these signals, when these start glowing, it means that price action is now trading above that momentum moving average. And that would be another thing you could look for after the bullish divergence. Hey, yeah, we're starting to diverge down here, but has price really gained bullish momentum just yet? And in this case, we do have both of those signals. You've got bullish divergence here. You've got bullish divergence forming on the money flow. It did go positive, and if you follow the price action, we broke above it, came back down, and tested it as support. Now, up top here, I have the BBWP. This is an indicator from Caretaker. It measures volatility using the Bollinger Band width percentile. Basically, this is just going to be your gauge of volatility. I also have up here on this chart, mind you, anyone in the Discord, it's in the Patreon section. You can literally load this entire chart directly into your trading view. The way I have it set up, with my color schemes, with my indicators, everything. But if you wanted to keep it simple, normally what I would have on my chart for this strategy is the Pulse 1 RSI, the harmonic indicator, and I would also use Pulse Tools. Pulse Tools will give us, it won't give you these bands, that's a different indicator altogether, but it will give you the Ichi cloud, it will give you the VWAP bands. Pulse 1 RSI also has the option, if you want a stochastic RSI, that is also an option inside of here. You've got signals for extreme volatility signatures. You've got a fast RSI cloud. If you wanted to add that to the RSI, you could do that as well. I try to keep it simple for the most part, but the options are there. And stochastics, if you come into the input section, you can show stochastic RSI. You can adjust the money flow, the size of it. I like to keep the money flow big. Sometimes in smaller time frames that gets hard because this will balloon up pretty good. And also on Pulse RSI, you have these little yellow squares here down in the oversold territory. These are extreme volume signatures. This shows you that whatever's taking place in the price action is backed up by extreme volume. Usually you're going to want to see that at the oversold, overbought areas, at, big tops, big bottoms locally. That's, something that might give you an extra edge, saying that yes, not only are we getting these variables, but you also have extreme volume supporting the idea. So that would have been a great entry here because, again, we know that Bitcoin's bullish on a bigger time scale. Altcoins are probably going to rip. Historically, that's what happens for the most part. So that would be one way of entering. And now, if you were looking to get out of the trade, you would look for the RSI at least in the overbought zone, but you also want to see, you've got a double top here with bearish divergence, and then the RSI falls underneath the moving average, which again, I like seeing RSI trading above the moving average at the bottom, and at the top, you get the bearish divergence, and then seeing the RSI fall below that is a good indication, especially when it falls below 60 on the RSI, which is the bullish control zone. That's another thing that would tell me, hey, maybe it's time to take some profits or look for at least some type of correction to come off of it. Same thing here. If you would have seen the RSI showing bearish divergence, granted it didn't pull back a lot here, but it would have, it could have. And then if you saw that RSI fall below the moving average and get rejected and then come back above it, combined with the fact that we are trading above the 55, that would be another indication that, hey, maybe I'm going to get back in this trade. Maybe this was a dip to be bought. Granted, it went sideways and up, but that's the idea. That's the premise behind that. And another thing to keep an eye on, these little dots right down here where the money flow crossover is, these are squeeze dots. That's what they represent. That's how you should look at them. If you see these, typically that's going to give you some bearish price action. And if you were looking at the bottom, if you were looking for a bottom, if you're looking to take a long, you would want to see these squeeze dots go away. That tells you that, the bearish pressure is really starting to let off. And again, this is something you would want to see at the bottom, or you could use the BBWP in the same fashion. You want to see this move that was happening when you are at the bottom. You want to see extreme volatility reached and then start to contract, because that will tell you that this push to the bottom has started. It reached an extreme level and now it's starting to cool off. And in the same fashion, if you were using BBWP for entries, you would also want to see at a low, you would want to see something like this. This would have been a great example where volatility is contracted, starts to move sideways and really reaches extreme lows and then expands from that. And the reason why I have the ADX up here as well, and this is another an MFI crossover, it's just another gauge of direction. If I'm using BBWP, I want to see, if I'm looking for a long, I want to see this expand, and I also want to see the ADX expanding into a bullish trend. I also want to see this MFI crossover green. I don't want to see it red. If I see expansion and the ADX and the MFI crossover are both going bearish, typically that's going to give you a bearish move. So this is just, one other thing you can add when you're looking to enter trades, when you're looking to exit trades. In the same fashion that you want to see extreme volatility reached on a move down before the bottom can be put in, when you have a strong move up like this, you want to watch that volatility, because it can hit extremes, and when it starts to contract, when it falls under the moving average, that could tell you that, hey, this move has probably run its course. You could expect a pullback, in a strong bull trend. You might not get a major pullback, but it's not about certainties in trading. It's about probabilities, and if the probabilities are telling you that you're probably going to see a pullback here, that's, maybe take profit, maybe put your stop loss somewhere, as a precaution, raise your stop loss up. But if you were looking for this bullish trend to continue, that's what I use these moving averages for. You've, of course, got your momentum average, the one with the orange dots. That's going to be your fast indicator that the trend is breaking down, right? So alongside these other variables that we were talking about with the bearish divergence, with volatility reaching extremes and beginning to contract, you can see the ADX is starting to deflate a little bit. And then you lost the momentum moving average. So that would have been a sign, hey, maybe take some profits. Maybe we're going to see some downside. And then I would use these moving averages in the background are from the fib ribbon tool. That's also in the Discord. And basically, these would be zones that I would look for a pullback to for the continuation of the bull trend. You can see all of the moving averages are still rising. It's telling you there's still momentum in the chart, and if price came down real quick to one of these moving averages, perhaps that would be a place where you'd want to add to your long, take a new long, or if it rejected on these and broke down, that would be a good place to take a short. Typically, if you're in an uptrend, you don't really want to be looking for shorts. That's kind of a big rule. So I would use these in this fashion for a pullback, and essentially this would have also been a signal in itself where you see the momentum moving average moving above these slower moving averages, and then ultimately you do see the fib ribbon get a crossover itself here, which is like the same idea as a golden cross. But anyway, I get distracted. You guys got to forgive me. So let's get back to it. You've got all these drives of bearish divergence. You finally did get a nice breakdown. You got a nice breakdown of the trend. You came down here. RSI has reached oversold. You do have these squeeze dots showing up. That means that there's still pressure to the downside until they relieve. And they did relieve just about right here. And then you got this drive of bullish divergence. Not a real strong one. But like we're looking for, the RSI did get above the moving average momentarily. Basically just riding it. If you look at the money flow, this is, would be something that we could have paid attention to before entering. Instead of just blindly entering where there was bullish divergence, we can look at, hey, this money flow is still negative. You've got this nice rounding bottom accumulation pattern, which I like seeing on the money flow. It really shows you that, yeah, there's a lot of money coming out of the market, but I would look at this more like, an algo selling, right? It's just the first thing that comes to mind when I look at these, because it's such a perfectly rounded negative drive on the money flow crossover, and it doesn't seem like it would be naturally occurring that price would come out of the market and then back into it and wash back into it so smoothly. So maybe that's some sort of sign that there's a market maker pulling this out, trying to get price as low as he can while accumulating. But okay, so we got our drive of bullish divergence over here. RSI is trying to get above that moving average. If we were watching the money flow specifically, right about here is where we cross over bullishly. And if you look up at price action, while that money flow is crossing over positive, you've also got the RSI reaching into the bullish control zone right here. You've got price breaking above all these moving averages that were squeezing up real tight here. Price moved above the Ichimoku cloud. If we look up here on the ADX, this long bearish trend on the ADX is slowly starting to get thinner and thinner and thinner. And then right at this spot here, we do have expansion of volatility. And on the ADX, you have an expansion into a bullish trend. You've got the MFI green as well. You got your crossover on the money flow down here. You've got RSI in the bullish control zone. You've got price above the momentum moving average. It's another great setup that we could have gotten just basically using those couple variables. And you can add stuff to it. Maybe you want to see volatility reach a certain level of expansion before bothering taking the trade, instead of sitting through this trade for a few days, going sideways, concerned, worried, hey, maybe you get stopped out from these up and down price movements. That's something that you could really refine this any way you want. Same thing with the RSI. Maybe you don't want to take the trade till you see the volume signatures come in, showing you there's extreme volume. Maybe you want to see price action reach the bullish control zone, like we were talking about with the moving average. Maybe you could really back test this stuff and dial it in a little bit better. But basically, that's what we're looking for. At the bottom, we want to see RSI oversold. We want to see bullish divergence. At the top, we want to see volatility reach extremes. We want to see bearish divergence. We want to see that RSI fall under the moving average. And these would have given you the very tops and the very bottoms so far in this trend. And same thing here. Here's a local top. This wasn't really the clearest signal. Again, we would be looking for volatility. Didn't really reach extremes here. I would say it didn't reach extremes till right about here, and that's the very, very top. You did get drives of bearish divergence over here that would have told you, hey, maybe take some profit, maybe come down and buy one of these pullbacks. And look, we pulled back from the bearish divergence right to the moving average. Bullish divergence again on the RSI. And then if we look at the money flow starts to come positive up here. You've got ADX. You were in a bear trend, but you can see this bear trend is really deflating, really losing strength. And again, at your extreme volume or your extreme volatility reading, you did also have bearish divergence on the RSI. Then the RSI fell below the moving average. And at the same time, that was also an important supply zone where we could have expected resistance to be. So you had the variables telling you that, hey, momentum could be shifting here. This upper movement has probably reached extremes. Money flow was still positive, but at the same time, you could see, I think, no bearish divergence on the money flow, but you had a lot of things telling you that, hey, this is probably going to be a major pullback. And again, if you were just analyzing the price action itself, you saw price break above an important supply zone and get rejected immediately. It tried again and only put in a lower high and got rejected again. And again, I really like using the harmonic indicator for pivot zones because it shows you that the wave structure has completed. And if you also get the variables we're looking for on the RSI or on the BBWP, that's a really good trade. Does it mean it's going to work out 100%? No, it doesn't. It never does. But using these variables can really, really dial in your trading strategy. And again, you can download this whole layout here directly into your own trading view, loading all my charts instantly, all my indicators, all my colors, everything I'm using. It will pop right up in your trading view. That's in the Discord. Other than that, I mean, that's the gist of it. This is something that you should really back test yourself. You should go through, in some historical data and see how you could have traded those price actions and then apply it to future price action. Obviously, hindsight trading is not going to make you any money, but it is going to show you a real life occurrence of the variables you're looking for, how you would have interpreted it. You can use the replay button in TradingView to do it, live, so you can really see how it developed, and it will really help you identify that stuff in the future. If you think there's something that I might have forgot that you could have added to this, you know, drop something in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps my channel grow. But that's it for now. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're done. All right, guys. I'll see you later.